Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to do digital exams, how to prepare for them, and my experience with having home and digital exams. So a little bit of background. Previously, I've had 16 digital exams, and this includes the equivalent to GCSEs, A-levels, and also uni exams. All of these were in an exam hall except for one. So in my first year of uni, I did have one home exam. So I also had experience with doing a digital exam at home. Out of all of these exams, 9 of them were open book. So subjects like English, Norwegian, some of my programming exams in uni were completely open book. This video will be focused on how you can prepare for a digital exam at home. However, all of these tips will be helpful for preparing for any digital or open book exam. Here in Norway, where I'm currently living and studying, there are 2 systems in use for digital exams. For the equivalent of GCSEs and A-levels, the Department of Education is responsible for the digital platform. In university, however, all exams are locally given, so that means that each university decides how their exam is going to run, but they still have settled on using a nationwide platform for all digital exams, meaning that no matter what university in the country you're going to, you are most likely going to use the exact same exam system anyway. The exam system used in university is called Inspera. It's basically just a digital system where our exams are given. This video will focus on the digital exams in uni, but the tips will be usable and applicable for any similar exam, even if you are at a lower level. Now, if you've never had a digital exam before, I understand that this situation can be a bit scary because you don't know what to really expect exactly. Now, the biggest difference will be that you are now doing all of your work on a computer, which is quite obvious. What is really nice about the particular platform is that you can scan drawings, graphs, diagrams, and other handwritten problems, which is how I've also had digital exam in different math subjects in university, like statistics. So in an exam hall, they will actually give you a special type of paper that they scan. So you don't scan them yourself, but now that it's an at-home exam, the professor that is making the exam can give you the option to take a photo of your problem. You can also always type them out if you have the option to scan in a photo. The biggest change you will actually notice from an open book exam versus a non-open book exam is what kind of questions you're asked. In an open book exam, they are way more interested in you applying your knowledge and showing how to use what you've learned in a context, rather than knowing what you've memorized. The reason is quite obvious because when it's open book, you don't actually have to memorize anything, so questions about remembering certain facts don't mean anything. An additional comment is that all digital exams don't have to be open book. In an exam hall situation, you can have no aids at all or just a calculator, and then you can have more memorization questions, etc. An example of this would be any math exam would be only calculator at university level. A lot of people have questions about cheating. I'm going to answer this very generally, but when you have a home exam, you technically can't cheat. This means that since the uni cannot control communication or manage communication in any way or use of the internet, you can't really cheat that way. It's still very important to keep in mind that plagiarism is cheating. If you somehow are working with other people during your exam, or if you are using other websites and copying other people's work, that will still count as cheating, so don't do that. You should also read your uni's guidelines for cheating during this exam season, as this may differ from what aids you're allowed to use, if communication is allowed or not, or if you need to cite your information that you've found in textbooks or online, because now you have access to those things. In a normal setting, meaning in an exam hall, Communication is not allowed at all, but use of the internet actually can be. So how this works is that the computer is completely locked during your exam, meaning that you cannot access anything except your exam page. So how you can access a website is if your professor or whoever is in charge of creating the exam, they can predefine websites that you're allowed to access during your exam. An example of this was in my programming exam in Java, where you could access the Java documentation that was online, and this exam was then also open book because, again, they're not testing your memorizing skills but how you actually program and use the language for something useful. In a home exam, they don't use the lockdown function. This is how I've experienced it previously, and they're not going to do it this semester as well. And this is because you can use any aid you want. So when your computer is not locked, you can go online, you can Google things, you can open other Word documents, and you can type things outside of your exam and then copy it in there later. It just gives you a lot more freedom. To be honest, there has been minimal change to my exams this semester. Out of all of my exams, only one got cancelled, and they decided that the assignments counted towards the final grade instead. This really didn't do much because all of my classes with exams, including the one cancelled, changed the grading scheme from letter grades to pass and fail. This is a decision they made because of the situation. My 2 project classes this semester ran as usual, and they are keeping the regular grading scheme, which is grades A to F. All of my exams are on the same day, and they have the same time restrictions as usual. Most uni exams here have 4-hour time restrictions. Usually all exams starts at 9 in the morning and they close at 1. Now, the exam system works the exact same way whether you have a home exam or you are in an exam hall. And how it works is that it just opens automatically at 9 in the morning. This will be in the time zone your exam is giving. So in my situation, the exams will open at 9 in the morning in Central European time, and then it closes automatically at 1 in the afternoon in the same time zone. In theory, you can do your home exam anywhere in the world, but because of this automatic time restriction, you can also risk having your exam at 1 a.m. if you are in a very different time zone. However, since the time restrictions are automatic, there is no issue with ensuring that students stay within the time frame, or that some people are using more time than they're allowed to. And you have to actively open your exam, but you don't actively have to close it. What is really nice about it being automatic is that you don't have to stress about delivering your exam on time, because it will do it for you, and you can just focus on doing your work, and then when time's up, time's up. Now that you have a little bit of information about how a digital exam works and how my experience with it has been, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can prepare for an online or open book exam. So preparing for an open book exam is quite different from other exams where you have limited aids. Some classes make example exams, and this has happened especially for this situation as well. So if you have these available, you should do them. These example exams is your way of getting to know your exam system if it's something that's completely new to you. You get to know what question types they're using. Could have changed a lot because of the change of the format. You get to test out your time management skills. And in general, you get an overview of what you can expect from your exam. If your exam is essay-based, you should focus on getting familiar with your textbook and other important resources. You want to know where you can quickly find relevant information for your essay so you don't waste time looking and searching for too many things during your exam. It's also really helpful to go through all of your lecture notes and organize them so that you can easily have them available, and you also know what kind of information you have written down previously. And also note down any feedback that you've gotten on your essay, as this could be very useful for your exam if you're writing something similar. If your exam is problem-based, so this would be anything in maths, natural sciences, technology, you should focus on noting down key formulas or any other information that you might need frequently during your exam. This way you don't have to keep looking for the same thing over and over again, or if different formulas you use a lot are on completely different chapters or pages, you have them easily available on one sheet of paper. If you have a formula booklet, you should obviously get familiar with it and then note down any important formulas that aren't included in the booklet on a separate sheet of paper. Doing past papers is still very useful for this type of exam because you get to practice the problem-solving part. And why this is important is because you don't want to waste too much time looking for examples whilst doing your exam, so being prepared and familiar with the relevant question types is really important. It's also helpful to go through your lecture notes and assignments and mark up any important examples or theorems. In general, do past papers if you feel like they're necessary for your type of exam, and also ask your professors about which past papers are still relevant for this year's exam if this has not yet been clarified. The last point is important because in my personal experience, not all past papers are 100% relevant for your exam, especially in this situation if there are major changes to the exam. Now we have come to the final part, which is your exam day or the day before. You should make sure that you have enough time before your exam starts to get ready, eat breakfast, and set up everything you need. If you live at home with your family, make them aware that you're having an exam so that you don't get disturbed during that time period. I would really recommend taking your exam at a desk or a kitchen table or anything similar to that, and try to avoid places like your bed or sofa. This is just to keep your focus up and kind of make it an exam-like situation. Make sure to sit close enough to a power outlet because you will need your computer for that entire duration of time, so you don't want it to die on you during your exam. Clear the desk area that you're using and only keep things there that you absolutely need. It's also important to prepare your computer, so close any tabs that you don't need for the exam. You don't want your browser to be too cluttered and distracting, so just closing everything down that you don't need to be looking at is really nice for your own focus. I also really recommend just restarting your computer before your exam. Now, to further test that everything works, you should open a test exam before your exam starts. This really depends on what system you're using. In Inspira, they do have test exams that we can open, so just by opening that, you can click through it and see that everything works as it should, and then close it. Now that you have your computer ready, you can also get any aids that you're planning to use ready. This means get your textbook, calculator, formulas, essays, whatever you need. Put it on your desk or at a near proximity. And then you should open any folders where you keep your digital aids like lecture notes, slides, other documents. And then you can open them when you need them. Then you should also bring water and maybe some light snacks to your desk. You have a time restriction to follow, so even if your exam is at home, you don't have time for a limited amount of breaks. Lastly, put your phone away if you don't need it. If you need it for some reason, I know that we can use your phones to text your professor if there's any issues with the exam. Turn off notifications for social media or put it in silent mode just so that your phone is not a distraction during your exam. And now you are ready to take your digital exam at home. That was everything for this video, and these were all of my tips on how you can prepare for your digital at-home exam or any other open book exam. I hope you found this video helpful and that you can use any of these tips for your exam season, especially this spring. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up as this really supports my channel. And also let me know in the comments if your exams are digital this semester and what's happening with your exam season this spring. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And if you want to get notified when I post, please turn on post notifications. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.